What's up, everybody? Welcome to round one, navigation and overview. We're going to just walk through Webflow today, get a just understanding of what their interface looks like, and most important things really so that when you actually jump in here, you're not totally stuck and you can actually navigate through some of this. To begin with, I pulled up just a template, basically a business template that will allow you to already see kind of what's here, so we're not just starting with a blank canvas. Again, today we're just going to walk through kind of the navigational structure, what this interface is. So over here on the left, we got a couple important tabs right here. Right now, it's going to default to this thing called the navigator. So you can see that there is actually a structure to this. Um, that down here we've got breadcrumbs that correlate with what's over here on the left side. So basically, we've got a couple of sections in here, and then some symbols: navigation, CTA, footer. Not a huge page, but enough to just get an understanding for it. So if I click on this section right here, I can open that up. Let's get one of these child elements, child element, child element. You can see that I'm tagged into here, and then all of these breadcrumbs down here have opened up as well. So if I wanted to, I could either jump back to something bigger, or I can select it over here. So that way you know exactly what element you're on while you're over here on this styles page, styles area, which is where you're going to spend most of your time. I'm gonna go ahead and collapse just about all of these guys. Hopefully they stay shut. We'll see. All right, so we will get into styling, what CSS is, how all that works in a future episode. But to begin with, just want you to understand that each of these elements can be styled in a different way with the styles tab over here. So most important, well, most important can be ambiguous. Whichever one you start on, or whichever element you're on, you're going to be doing different things. Spacing, layout, obviously those top two, super helpful to have open. Also, I like to have typography and backgrounds open. So those are my go-tos for sure. We're gonna again jump into kind of how this all works and what that layout is as far as using uh, inline and flex and the rest of that, but we're not going to get a ton into this. But this is where you would adjust how that layout is set up. This is where spacing, we've got our padding and margins that we can play with in here as well. Check these guys out, size position, not super important quite yet for what we're doing, but just a quick overview again. Typography, this is awesome. You can click into here. Your typical type options. This one, this is where you get all of your additional uh, treatments that you can actually make your site look better than just the default. And then backgrounds is super important as well. So if I'm in something like this entire section, I could change that background from transparent to all kinds of stuff. I can drop in, um, where are we at? I can drop in images, gradients. You can see that this whole section now has a default image. So we can put something in there, choose the color, pin it to whatever edges. So that backgrounds area is incredibly important. That little plus guy is where you actually are able to really start adjusting that. So get familiar with the styles area as much as you can. Next year, this is where you actually have the settings for each of these elements as well, and the settings will differ. You can see navigation, the sections, setting IDs, tags for these things. These guys not super important quite yet. This will show you, again, we'll get into this with a little bit more of the CSS, HTML, and how that works, and then what those triggers are. So let's jump back over here. I'm again just going to walk through this left side navigation real quick. Um, Adding things. So this is where you actually are able to add elements. Layout, that's something. If I drop in, let's say, a column here, I can choose how many columns are going to be there. Let's take it from here, get it out of that section, put it above there, and now you can see that I've got a 3-column section that I can now, if I hit A for add, it'll open that up for me. I didn't even do anything, just press the letter A. Then I can drop in let's say a div block into that section, and now I've got a div inside of my column. I can copy and paste that into the other columns as well. So you have both layout elements as well as just your basic building blocks, and then you get into well, basic typography as well, your headings, um, all your different tags, H tags. We can style those globally so that every one of those, we just get the tag selected and then everything looks just like that. We'll get into that with our typography lesson. Um, Down here, these are pretty helpful. So we're gonna obviously image, video, YouTube. That's what this tab is here. So your assets. If you have images or videos, those will drop in there. But what's also nice is that you have pre-built forms, labels, checkboxes, text areas, drop downs, nav bars, and there's all these things that are components and form elements that are already pre-built that you can just basically drag and drop. Let's go here, drop in a form block, and all of a sudden you already have a form block in here with those settings that you can change already preset. This little guy up here allows you to preview. That's definitely helpful. And then this, if you have multiple pages, this will allow you to jump from your home page to your About Us page to your work page to your team page. So if you're actually trying to move around your website without jumping into the preview mode, CMS, e-commerce, not a whole lot there. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you guys today, again, just a quick overview. Actually, I'm going to show you two things. So this project settings, definitely important. This is where that specific project, you're actually able to manage hosting, SEO, billing, forms, where those forms are going. So that's helpful to know, as well as you can either hit back or there's the little go back to designer tab as well. And then over here, I've got this, I mean, it's all black and white right now, but I can turn on these columns. I can go into X-ray mode basically. And then this one I actually really like because this will show you the edges of those elements. So I can see, I'm not sure why it's not in there. But that typically will there we go. That'll show you what the edges of each one of those are so that you know where things are, what's overlapping, if there are margins, padding set to things, so that if you're clicking around in there, you're actually able to select the proper element within the proper block. So that's it for today. Again, just super quick introduction as far as how you get around what the most important navigational features are on the UI of Webflow. I'm looking forward to our next session. Tune back in tomorrow, and I will have a brand new video for you. Thanks, everyone.